Hey everybody, Jennifer Maggio here. Welcome to the channel. I wanted to talk to my nonprofit leaders for a little bit. I wanted to talk with you about some strategies that you're going to need in order to fundraise for your nonprofit. Y'all, I can remember in the early years of nonprofit work that fundraising was the single hardest thing that I did. I can remember that, first of all, money didn't flow in for our nonprofit. When you're starting something new, folks don't want to just dig deep into their pockets and give a lot of money to you because, frankly, they don't know what you're going to do with it yet. And so the early years of raising money was very difficult. And the other thing was I had no formal training in how to do that well. And I would attend all of these fundraising events, and, they would have folks that would come up that worked for very large hospitals or very large educational facilities, and they would talk about fundraising when they had access to thousands of donors and billions of dollars, and it just felt like so far-fetched for me to be able to glean anything from them. So I am talking to my small, mid-level, and large nonprofits on some things that our organization have done that have helped us to catapult to the next level. Many of you will know that I started a nonprofit several years ago and started that thing in my living room with 3 single moms. I started it having just earned money from a contest, $2,000. My husband and I had no money. I had left my job because the Lord told me to. We were literally clipping 75 coupons a week in order to buy groceries. And so it wasn't like money was coming in personally for me to be able to invest. And the Lord really gave me strategies on how to fundraise for my nonprofit. And so I'm going to share those things with you that I learned. The first thing is you need to get everyone involved in your fundraising. Okay, so that means that you are getting clients that you serve involved in your fundraising. You are getting friends and family involved in your fundraising. You are getting your teacher that you loved in middle school involved in your fundraising. You are getting every person that you have ever known involved in your fundraising. I can remember early on, I was so timid to ask people to support the work that we were doing. Like I would get a lot of atta-girls like, oh, I love what you're doing, great job. But they weren't opening up their checkbook and writing me a check to get the work done. And I would be so timid about asking. But what I learned was, I'm not asking to support me personally. I'm asking so that you could support the clients that so desperately need the resources. I know that I'm going to steward your money well, so why am I tiptoeing around asking people to support what is a God-ordained assignment? And so the first thing you need to know is that you need to start really understanding who is in your sphere of influence. I started looking at who are all of my girlfriends that I've known for many years, who did my children play sports with for many years, who were my elementary room moms that I did all types of projects with, who were the people that I served for years at my church, my Bible studies that I was involved in. Like I literally, there's not a person I know now that has not been asked for money for my nonprofit. Why? Because again, I'm not asking for somebody to pay my light bill. I'm asking for us to transform women's lives for the cause of Christ. I'm asking for them to fund work to bring the hope of the light of the world into single moms and children's lives. And so I am unabashedly unashamed now to ask folks for money. But you have to get to a place where you feel comfortable asking everyone in the sphere of influence. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is you need to get organized, okay? And so organization is something that's kind of a little pet peeve of mine when it comes to fundraising and business management. I see a lot of disorganization as it pertains to how to carry out programs, where we're headed in a plan, how we're going to get there, what does that look like, what are the different levels that we need to be able to implement the different parts of the project financially. Those things matter. I have found that people are willing to give me more money whenever they understand that we have an effective strategy to get there. So for example, early on, I didn't have a lot of organization, and so people would write me a $50 check. But what I found is they had the ability to write me a $500 or a $5,000 check when they knew that it was going to take us $150,000 to get somewhere. Like if I didn't have a plan and there wasn't organization around it, it was very difficult for me to convey anything other than, hey, we really, really need your money. So in order for you to have effective fundraising, you're going to have to get organized as it pertains to where you're headed. So I'm not just talking about goals as it pertains to programs. You need to know XYZ number of dollars will serve XYZ number of children. You need to know those types of things. But then you also need to know what incrementally is going to help you get there. How many $50 donors do you need? How many $5,000 donors do you need? How many $50,000 donors do you need? Put a plan together that keeps you organized on where you're headed. Lack of organization is a huge problem in actually fundraising for your nonprofit. Tip number 3 is make it easy to give to your organization. Okay, so I have gone to a lot of fundraisers. I'm actually called upon to keynote any number of fundraisers every year, and I go to them all over the country for very large nonprofits and for quite tiny nonprofits, and those that have been around for 30 years and those that just started a couple of years ago. And here's what I see is that sometimes it's not very clear on how people can support you. So maybe there's a program sitting at every attendee's table, but there's no real clear direction on how they're to give. There's no QR code, there's no website, there's no easy way to accept credit card payments and check payments and cash and all of those things. So for our nonprofit, you can't think of a way to give that we have not set up to receive money. So we're going to receive money from every way possible, and it's going to be very clear on our website. If someone wants to transfer stock to us, we can receive that. Y'all, years ago, I didn't even know about stock transfer. I didn't even understand that because I was very young and I didn't have those types of resources. But learning how to set up those types of accounts, learning that people could bequeath an estate to us whenever they passed away if they so desired, learning that people could donate a car to us if they so desired, those types of things that are very important for nonprofits to be able to receive the support that they need. And so for us, we actually made it very clear on the ways to give. We made it very easy on the ways to give. And then we put together a system, a CRM system, so that we could record the folks that were giving us money so that later we could use that system in order to solicit them for funding later. All very important as it pertains to raising money for your business. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Consider various sales. Okay, now let me talk to you about if you're a really small nonprofit versus if you're a mid to mid-high level nonprofit. So if you're really small, like back in the day, really small nonprofit, we didn't have very many resources. We did sales like garage sales, bake sales, homemade items, at-home sales. We did a lot of that type of stuff in the beginning where we would make $200, $300, $400, maybe $1,000. We needed all of that. I've done car washes for donations. I've done all the things to raise money. So what I would do is, for example, I'd get all, for our business, we serve single moms. So I'd get all the single moms around and I'd say, okay, we're gonna have a baking night and everybody's gonna bake goods, cookies and candies and all of the things. And then we're going to sell that stuff and make money to donate to the ministry. Very simple. It got everybody involved, and it was a way for us to be able to make money to help pay for needs that moms had. Maybe I did a garage sale where I would clean out everything I had and have the moms bring in things that they wanted to donate to the ministry, and we would sell all that stuff and put money into the ministry. These are great ways to get your clients involved to give back to organizations that have meant so much to them. But so I'm talking about those types of sales, but I want to take it up a notch and talk to you about online sales. So maybe you're at the entry level. Those things would be important to get those types of things. Maybe a makeup at home business or a candle selling business or all those types of small side hustles that moms have. Those types of sales can be donated to your ministry. But I also want to talk to you about online sales because they've been a revenue generator for our ministry. Maybe your business needs to develop a t-shirt or a coffee mug or its own, ink pen or journal or whatever. There are all of these marketable items that your business can sell at a markup. Hats and sweatshirts, you name it. And I've seen them online. If you brand your business well, people will pay more for an item in order to support your business. And so You know what I think of when I think of a business that really illustrated this model well early on? Tom's Shoes. Tom's Shoes was one of the first businesses that I can remember many years ago that had the motto, buy a pair, give a pair. And what that motto was if you bought a pair of, slip-on shoes, comfortable shoes, every pair that you bought also went to give a child a pair of shoes in another country. Well, man, that model, you would buy a pair of shoes that would have been $40 or $50, but you paid $100 for them because you knew you were not only servicing a need of your own, but servicing a need for someone else. The same is true with online sales for your business. Get those items in an online store and you will be surprised at what people will do to buy a t-shirt to support your business in order for you to be able to then grow your business. So online sales are huge. The next thing is consider an auction. So silent auctions for us have been very successful through the years, whether it be in a sit-down environment like a luncheon or a gala, or whether it be just an online auction. There are many resources available if you want to do an auction. And it really doesn't cost your organization anything. Have your donors bring in a bunch of items and then put them in an online store and see how people will bid on items and outbid one another. It's a fun competition and it's a way that your organization can make a lot of money. The next thing is hosting fundraising events. Now, I want to caution you that if you are new, only a year or two, I'm not going to tell you to come out of the gate with a fundraiser, because what's worse than not having a fundraiser is having a bad fundraiser that puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth. So make sure you're ready to do a fundraiser. But when you're ready, whether it's a golf tournament or a tennis tournament, or whether you're doing a luncheon or a sit-down evening gala or some other facet of fundraising events, this can be a great way to procure new donors who have never heard about your business. And it's also a great way to share the vision about what all the Lord has done in prior years. And so we are very successful at our annual fundraiser. So I love annual fundraisers and I believe that they can be valuable for your organization. The next thing is creating multiple streams of revenue. Okay, this is one that many people miss. Okay, multiple streams of revenue are going to be not just putting all of your eggs into your two wealthiest donors' basket, because at some point they may stop giving. So I'm talking about in-kind donations. I'm talking about grants. I'm talking about online sales, end-of-year giving campaigns. I'm talking about having 8 to 10 revenue streams for your business that are going to be able to procure funding from a variety of areas. Very important. So that if one stream dries up, you've got 7 or 8 other streams that are pouring in to your business. One of the biggest challenges with nonprofits is that you don't have multiple streams of income. So look at all of those different things aforementioned to help you. Private donors, corporate donors, the list goes on. Okay. You need to create a request letter, a formal request letter that is on letterhead. Create one that's written professionally that shares what your business is, what you are trying to accomplish, and what you've already accomplished, along with the scope of need. So you're looking at, hey, here's who we are and here's what our vision is. Here's where we're looking to go in the new year. And here's where we've been and all we've been able to accomplish. And then here's how big the need is. So if you cover all of those things in a fundraising solicitation letter, it is going to be a really professional way to present to business leaders and to those who really want to invest but want to make sure that you have your wits about you and that you're going to steward their money well. Put your tax ID number on the letter, have the CEO sign it, the fundraising manager sign it, and this is going to be very important. It may seem simple, but guys, nobody told me that in the beginning. I didn't even have a fundraising letter. I'm just kind of trying to figure out how to raise money, but no one had taught me how to write an effective solicitation letter. And so that's going to be very important for your organization as well. Okay, final thoughts is that I want to tell you that it is so important that you resource yourself well. And so I do believe that going to skills-based workshops, fundraising events, community events, meeting with other nonprofit leaders and other fundraisers in your community can be hugely impactful. And while there are things that I've gone to that I didn't glean much from, maybe when I was in it, I met with someone who gave me one or two nuggets while I was sitting at a round table with them that was valuable. And so get out and network with other fundraisers to learn the things you need in order to grow your nonprofit.